Pause whatever you're doing right now, even if just for a moment, because what you're about to hear might touch a place inside you that has been silently waiting for exactly this. Have you ever noticed someone drift into your thoughts completely uninvited? Have you ever sensed an inexplicable draw toward a person even while time, distance, or quiet stretched between you? What if those moments aren't random in the least? What if they're calling you to notice something far deeper than mere coincidence? So many people spend years scanning the world around them for signs, convinced that love only begins once another person makes the first move. But what if the most important message has been unfolding inside of you the entire time? What if the unease you've been carrying, the dreams that won't let you go, the emotions that surface out of nowhere, and the shifts happening within your heart are all shaping you for one of the most significant chapters of your life? This message today isn't about wishful thinking or empty promises. It's about grasping the quiet inner shift that must occur before real, lasting connection can bloom. It's about understanding why some people leave a lasting imprint on your soul, why timing so often feels puzzling, and why your biggest breakthrough starts on the inside. So stick with me all the way through, because what you're about to learn could reshape how you see yourself, your path, and the connection you've been longing for. There's a moment in life that logic alone cannot account for. It shows up quietly, usually without any warning, and yet it changes everything. You might suddenly catch yourself thinking about one specific person with no clear reason why, their presence returning to your mind again and again even while you're caught up in daily obligations. You tell yourself it's just your imagination, yet the feeling won't fade. That's because not every call in life comes wrapped in words. Some arrive from the deepest corners of your inner world, where the soul already senses what the conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. Before two people are genuinely ready to meet or come back together, something far greater starts stirring within. The outward journey is always led by an inward transformation. The heart starts asking questions it has dodged for years, and the soul begins seeking answers that the outside world simply cannot provide. Countless people spend their lives waiting for someone else to change first, believing joy will show up the moment the right person appears, texts them, or finally speaks their feelings aloud. Yet real change begins long before any reunion ever happens. It begins in stillness, when you start facing your own fears, insecurities, past hurts, and buried longings. The loneliness you once fought against becomes a teacher rather than an enemy, while the hardships that once felt like punishment gradually reveal themselves as preparation. Every letdown peels away an illusion. Every setback builds patience. And every unanswered question draws you deeper into self-understanding, until what once felt like emptiness slowly transforms into a sacred space where your true self begins to surface. This inner awakening is rarely easy, because it asks you to let go of old versions of yourself that can no longer carry the future meant for you. You start noticing patterns that have repeated across your relationships. You recognize the fear of being left behind, the craving for approval, the habit of pursuing people who can't meet you emotionally, or the tendency to conceal your true self to dodge rejection. These realizations aren't there to make you feel guilty. They're invitations to grow. Each flash of awareness loosens the hold of unconscious habits and builds your capacity to choose differently. Bit by bit, your heart grows lighter, freed from burdens that were never actually yours to carry. As this internal shift progresses, your energy naturally transforms, and you become less focused on forcing outcomes and more open to trusting how your life unfolds. Rather than chasing constant validation, you find a quiet, steady confidence rising from within, and you stop measuring your worth by someone else's attention because you begin to see the value that has been there inside you all along. Interestingly, it's often at this very stage, once you no longer feel desperate to hold on, that real connection finally becomes possible. A relationship built on inner wholeness stands far stronger than one built on fear or emotional need. The call you've been sensing isn't only nudging you toward another person, it's inviting you to grow into the version of yourself capable of both receiving and holding onto the love you've always wanted. Some people come into your life and leave behind fond memories. Then there are others whose presence seems to stir awake something you never even knew was there. They don't simply make you feel loved or seen. They hold up a mirror to parts of yourself that have stayed hidden for years. Sometimes that reflection is stunning, revealing strength, kindness, courage, and dreams you had let slip away. Other times it's deeply unsettling, uncovering fears, old wounds, insecurities, and habits you've tried hard to avoid. This is why certain connections feel so intense right from the start. They're not only about affection or attraction, they become an invitation to uncover who you really are underneath the masks you've grown used to wearing. Many people assume they meet someone special purely to experience romance. But deep relationships often serve a much greater purpose, exposing the truth about your inner world. If you're carrying a fear of rejection, that fear may rise up stronger than it ever has. If you struggle to trust, every uncertain moment might feel unbearable. If you've spent years feeling not good enough, the relationship might surface that belief in ways you never expected. This isn't because the other person is causing these feelings, but because they're simply mirroring what was already living inside you. Just as a clear mirror doesn't create your reflection but honestly shows it, meaningful connections reveal emotional truths that were already lying beneath the surface. This reflection can be hard to accept because the mind naturally leans toward comfort over change, and it's easier to point fingers at another person than to examine the hidden beliefs steering your actions. Yet every emotional trigger carries useful insight, pointing toward an area of your life asking to be healed. The jealousy you feel might reveal a fear of being replaced. The anger might uncover a disappointment buried long ago, and the anxiety might expose an old wound left by someone who failed to protect your heart. Once these emotions are acknowledged instead of pushed aside, they start losing their grip on you, as awareness turns unconscious reactions into deliberate choices. This mirror also reflects qualities you might not yet see in yourself. You may admire someone's confidence because your own is waiting to come alive, or you may find another person's kindness inspiring because your own heart holds that same capacity for compassion. Sometimes the traits you admire most in someone else are gentle reminders of potential already living inside you, and rather than viewing them as something you lack, you start understanding them as possibilities still waiting to awaken. This realization changes how you experience relationships, as you begin uncovering forgotten parts of yourself through the connection instead of relying on another person to complete you. As this understanding deepens, the relationship shifts from being about possession to being about transformation. Every conversation, every stretch of distance, every misunderstanding, and every joyful reunion becomes a chance to understand yourself more fully. The connection stops revolving around controlling outcomes or chasing constant reassurance. Instead, it becomes a path toward deeper emotional honesty, self-awareness, and personal growth. The greatest gift such a bond can give isn't simply the promise of lasting companionship, but the courage to meet the truest version of yourself, free of illusion, fear, and the limits that once kept your heart hidden from the world. One of the biggest struggles people face is wanting to control the timing of their own lives. When the heart longs deeply for someone, every day can feel like an unanswered question. You wonder why they haven't come back, why they stay quiet, or why the connection feels stalled despite how intense your feelings are. The mind keeps searching for explanations, trying to manufacture certainty where none exists. Yet some of life's most meaningful moments can't be hurried by sheer willpower alone, because there's a rhythm moving beneath the surface that often stays hidden until the right moment arrives. What feels like delay isn't always a roadblock. Sometimes it's a season of preparation, allowing both people to grow emotionally and spiritually capable of holding the connection they want. Growth rarely moves at the same speed for two people. One might wake up to their emotions quickly, while the other is still carrying fears they haven't yet faced. One might be learning to trust again after years of disappointment, while the other is figuring out how to release pride, resentment, or emotional distance. If these separate journeys were forced together before either person was truly ready, the relationship could easily crumble under the weight of unresolved pain. Trusting this process means understanding that genuine alignment takes patience, and that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is giving you room to heal, build resilience, and fully grow into your own strength. When the timing is right, whatever belongs in your life won't need to be forced, chased, or begged for. It will simply fall into place naturally, carried by the maturity and readiness you built during the waiting. This is why patience becomes more than just enduring time. It becomes an act of wisdom. It lets life shape each person through experiences that no shortcut or wish could ever replace. Many people mistake silence for rejection and distance for the end of the story. They assume that if something meaningful hasn't happened yet, it never will. But silence often teaches lessons that words simply cannot. It shows where attachment has grown stronger than trust. It reveals the difference between real love and the fear of losing control. During these quiet stretches, you start noticing how much of your emotional energy has relied on outside validation. Gradually, you're invited to turn that energy inward, building confidence, peace, and emotional steadiness that no one else can hand you or take away. There's also a real difference between forcing an opportunity and letting it unfold naturally. When fear is steering your choices, you might feel pushed to send another message, seek another explanation, or chase another sign that the connection is still alive. But actions born from anxiety rarely bring lasting peace. They often deepen the very insecurity you're trying to outrun. When you learn to act from a place of clarity instead of desperation, your choices become steadier, wiser, and more aligned with who you're becoming. You stop counting each passing day as proof that something's missing. Instead, you recognize that meaningful change is often happening in places your eyes can't yet reach. Trusting how life unfolds doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up on your hopes. It means understanding that lasting relationships need more than intense emotion. They need maturity, honesty, resilience, forgiveness, and a willingness to meet one another without dragging along the weight of unresolved pain. Every challenge, every unexpected delay, and every season of uncertainty holds the potential to strengthen these qualities if you let it. Rather than asking why nothing has happened yet, you begin asking what this moment is teaching you. In that shift, waiting stops feeling empty and becomes instead a quiet season of preparation, where your heart learns the patience, wisdom, and inner strength it needs to welcome love when the time is truly right. Life often speaks in ways that are easy to miss, because we're taught to trust only what can be seen, measured, or explained. And yet, there are moments when everyday experiences start carrying an unusual weight of meaning. A person's name keeps showing up in unexpected places. A song brings them to mind at exactly the right moment. You wake from a dream so vivid it feels more real than reality itself, leaving emotions behind that linger with you all day. Certain memories return with startling clarity, even after months or years of quiet. These experiences might look like coincidences at first, but what really matters isn't whether they foretell the future. What matters is that they pull your attention inward, urging you to explore feelings and truths you may have ignored for far too long. The human mind has a striking ability to spot patterns, especially when something carries deep emotional weight. When someone has touched your life profoundly, your awareness naturally grows more attuned to anything connected to them. Rather than brushing these moments off right away, it can be worthwhile to pause and ask what they're revealing about your inner world. Perhaps they're pointing to an unfinished conversation, a lesson still waiting to be learned, or a part of you still longing to heal. The significance of these moments isn't in proving that fate is sending secret messages, but in recognizing that your inner life is asking for your attention. Dreams often play a distinct role in this process because they communicate through symbols rather than plain explanation. During sleep, the conscious mind eases its constant need to analyze and manage every experience. Emotions, memories, and hidden thoughts can rise to the surface in forms that feel mysterious, yet intensely personal. You might dream of walking next to someone you haven't seen in years, receiving a letter, crossing a bridge, or standing before a closed door that suddenly swings open. These images aren't necessarily forecasts of outside events. More often they mirror the movement happening within your own heart. They reveal hopes, fears, unresolved emotions, or a quiet longing to feel whole. By reflecting honestly on these dreams instead of fearing them, you gain insight into the emotional journey unfolding inside you. Another sign worth paying attention to is an unexpected shift in your emotional landscape. You might suddenly feel peace after carrying sadness for a long stretch, or feel a strong pull to forgive someone without quite knowing why. You might notice old resentments starting to fade, replaced by compassion and understanding. These changes often happen slowly, almost without notice, until one day you realize you're no longer reacting to life the way you used to. Such moments matter because they show your inner world is transforming. The clearest signs aren't always dramatic events happening around you. They're the quiet shifts taking place within your character, your outlook, and your emotional strength. When these meaningful moments show up, the wisest response is neither blind faith nor instant dismissal. It's thoughtful attention. Rather than becoming consumed with hunting for hidden meaning in every coincidence, let these experiences spark deeper self-reflection. Ask yourself what they stir within you, what fears they bring to light, what hopes they reawaken, and what truths they push you to face. The most meaningful signs are the ones that gently lead you toward greater clarity, emotional honesty, and a stronger bond with your own inner life, helping you see that every meaningful journey begins with understanding yourself before looking for answers anywhere else. There comes a point in every meaningful journey when the heart reaches a crossroads. One path is familiar, shaped by fear, doubt, hesitation, and the comfort of staying right where you are. The other path is unclear, asking you to trust what you cannot yet fully see. This is the moment when courage matters more than certainty. Many people wait for fear to vanish before they take a single step forward. But fear rarely leaves on its own. It grows stronger when avoided and weaker when met with honesty. Answering the deeper call of your life doesn't require fear to disappear. It requires the willingness to move forward wisely despite it. Every meaningful relationship, every personal transformation, and every significant change begins with the decision to stop letting fear steer the direction of your life. Fear often masks itself as reason. It convinces you that protecting your heart means never being vulnerable, that keeping emotional distance is safer than risking disappointment, or that dodging hard conversations will somehow spare you pain. At first, these strategies can feel wise, since they offer temporary relief. But over time, they quietly build invisible walls around your heart. Those walls don't just keep pain out, they also block genuine love, trust, and connection from reaching you. The higher these walls grow, the more isolated you become, even surrounded by people. Real courage isn't tearing down every wall in a single night. It's recognizing which walls no longer protect you and gently choosing to let them fall, one honest step at a time. Trust is another vital piece of this journey, though it's often misread. Many think trust means believing another person will never hurt you. In truth, trust starts within yourself. It's the confidence that no matter what happens, you have the strength, wisdom, and resilience to face it. When you trust yourself, you no longer grip desperately to outcomes or try to control every situation. You stop measuring your worth against another person's actions because your value no longer depends on their approval. This inner confidence builds emotional steadiness, letting you approach relationships with openness rather than constant worry. Love becomes a choice, rooted in freedom, instead of a need driven by fear. Emotional maturity also plays a key role in answering life's deeper call. It means owning your reactions instead of blaming others for every uncomfortable feeling. It means listening before judging, understanding before defending, and reflecting before reacting. Emotional maturity lets you recognize when old wounds are shaping present experiences. Rather than repeating familiar patterns, you begin making conscious choices that reflect who you're becoming instead of the pain you once carried. This shift changes every interaction because your responses are no longer ruled by unresolved fears, but guided by awareness and intention. As courage, trust, and emotional growth become woven into your daily life, your outlook starts changing in subtle but powerful ways. You stop chasing what keeps running from you and start valuing what naturally aligns with who you are.